Hello, my name is Rich and welcome to Rich's World. We're having a beautiful autumn day here and I'm going to show you how to plant tulips. It's a perfect time of the year to plant tulips in the autumn. And there's a little bit more to it than you would think, but it's easy. It's a very easy thing to do. So we're going to go over here and I'm going to show you what I'm planting. I've planted all different types of tulips, really expensive ones and very cheap ones, or reasonable, I think is the word to use there. I've noticed with tulips that the red ones from the box stores do the best. Something about the red is a hardier variety and they come up year after year. Now, one year, a couple of years in a row, we live about 45 minutes from the Brandywine. And there are all types of mushroom farms down there. And they sell off the manure, the mushroom soil that they grow the mushrooms in. And I bought a tractor trailer load and I used to have it brought in every so many years. When I was putting that on my tulips, like 6 inches, I had the most gorgeous tulips. Not only do they come back every year, but they would multiply and they'd propagate. I had huge beds of tulips year after year. So they need a lot of fertilizer. And you can get bulb booster and you can get bone meal. Now, when you do that, let me have a box here. Let me show you. There's 3 numbers on almost all fertilizers. The first one is nitrogen. The second number is potassium and no, phosphorus, and then potassium. It has a high phosphorus. That gives you the bulb growth. That helps the bulb bloom and come back every year. I put this in the hole before I put the tulip in, and after they're done blooming in the spring, I put bulb booster on them, which has a higher number. It has a 5 and it has a higher nitrogen and a higher potassium number on bulb booster. I also pelt my beds early spring, first week in March, with 10, 10, 10. So I want to make sure they get plenty of fertilizer. When you're planting tulips, you want to plant them 6 to 8 inches deep. If you're in a colder area, it gets a really heavy frost or freeze, you want to go 8 inches deep. And that's important. You can plant them too deep and then they'll grow. They won't flower or they'll come up later. So you want to keep it between 6 and 8 inches. That's important. Now I'm going to show you some planting techniques, which means I need a shovel. First thing you want to do is rake back your mulch, because you don't want to, you want to reuse that. You can see it. And then you're going to put that back on top. Okay, now I'm going to get down on the ground and I'm going to talk from down here. And so I have bags of 50, and like I said, I got these at a box store. I have ones on the other side of the driveway that I put in over 10 years ago. They come back every year. They look beautiful, and I feed them spring and fall. Now there's a couple of different ways to do this. They'll tell you to put your bulbs out where you want them and arrange them. That's one way to do it. Now I'm going to show you something I bought that I don't like. Found this online. It's an auger. We bought it. I'm showing it to you because you're going to see it online. You're going to think you have to have it. I don't care for it. My wife likes it. I don't. Basically, you put it in the ground. That's why I don't like it. And I find, then the other thing is the tulip. I hate it. It hurts your wrist. So what I do is I dig a hole with a shovel. It is the best and the easiest, and you can get your tulips closer together. My pet peeve with tulips are when people plant one and one and one. Looks like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. I hate it. I want a big mass, and I want the color to hit you, and I want it to be beautiful. So to do that, get a shovel. Now, this area where I have rose bushes and yews and boxwoods, the soil's not that great. It's a heavier soil, which is, you can see, it's not great for planting tulips. So what I'm going to do next is pull out my little Mantis rototiller and start that up. And I'll show you, it's a great tool to have. You can rent them. They're not expensive. You can buy one. I've had this Mantis for years. I love it. So let me go get that, put gas in it, and I'll show you what we do next. Now, if you're going to put a garden in, no matter how big or small, this was the best investment I ever made. I love this machine. I had a really big, very expensive one, which is great when you're starting your garden and you need to do big areas. But for after that, when your garden is going, this is a much better. You can get it in between bushes. It's just easy to handle, and I can't say enough good things about it. It's a wonderful machine. So easy to start. Flip that over. You have your ground prepared. So what I do is I have all the soil loose and mixed, and it's perfect for planting. So what I do is I remove it. Okay, you're ready for bulbs. So at that point, get your bone meal out. Now it's like a teaspoon per bulb, they tell you. I just saturate the area. Okay, get your bulbs and just put them in. Make sure you get the point up. That's the base, the bottom. And I put them fairly close. Just kind of put them in like a grid. Now this is a mass planting, which I think always looks the best. Now I know people that put them in like in raised beds, and then after they flower, they dig the bulbs out. I've tried to go for a more natural look, which is hard for me. We've talked about this in past videos. I want to have everything tight, but that look is really on the way out. And I'm going for more of a capability brown look. He was the architectural gardener in the 18th century that brought nature into gardens and started loosening it up a little. I don't want my garden to look perfect. I want it to look more like God planted it and less like I planted it. So when I put the tulip bulbs on the other side, they might not be totally lined up. That's on purpose. So I'm going for that more natural look. There are 50 bulbs in that hole. That is what 50 bulbs look like. Some people might think they're planted too tight. I don't think so. I want it to be tight. I want those red tulips to be touching each other. They're only here for 2 weeks and then they move on. So let's get up and let's put the soil in. Okay, and then loosely, you don't want the bulbs to roll around. So just sprinkle the soil in. Now you're going to say, these don't look 6 inches deep. Well, by the time I get all the soil on it and the mulch, will be there. I don't need them 8 inches deep here in this part of Pennsylvania. Okay, now you have your 6 inches plus of soil and mulch, and just sprinkle more bone meal on top, which, you know, I'll go around this week and I'll sprinkle all over the bulbs that are in the ground from years past. I know where they're all at. Now, I'll also buy pots of bulbs, pink ones, in the spring at the box stores. And I put 2 or 3, 4 of them on the patio. They look great. When they're spent, I dig holes and plant them. So I know where they're at from last 2 years. So that works. One year I planted bulbs in big pots on the patio, and they got snow and water and the bulbs rotted. And I thought, gee, I'm not doing that again. So now I buy the bulbs done up, about to bloom, and I sink them in the pots. I think I did an episode early on with that. So now I'm going to rake this lightly in, and then when it rains, it'll settle down. Now, some people water right away. I don't. I don't see the point in watering right away because they're not coming up into fall anyway. They're going to be fine in the ground. So there you go. Now, if you've never planted tulips, this is a good time to go out. They might even be on sale because it's getting late in the season. And you're going to learn by doing. And if they're coming from a box store and they're knocked down 40%, go for it and try it. There are all different ways to do it. If you have very loose soil, you can use one of the tulip diggers. I just like this way the best. And so thank you for joining me today, friends and family. It's always my pleasure to spend time with you. Have a blessed day. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. See you next time.